The arena of Varkalon Prime was not a place for weak hearts. It was said that anyone who entered that circle never walked out again. The sand inside was not sand anymore. It was dust mixed with blood. 500 warriors had stepped inside over the last 4 cycles, and all 500 had fallen, not because they were weak, not because they were untrained, but because of her. Princess Kayla of the Varkalon Dominion, the deadliest royal in the galaxy. Every species feared her strength, every warrior feared her temper, and every suitor who wanted her hand in marriage had to fight her in ritual combat. That was the ancient law of her people. Win her respect, win her hand, or die trying. Kayla never smiled inside the arena. She never hesitated. Her people believed she was born with lightning in her blood and steel in her bones. And when she fought, she moved like a storm that wanted to destroy everything around it. On this day, the arena was louder than ever before. Thousands of Varkalon citizens screamed her name. They wanted entertainment. They wanted fear. They wanted death. The announcer stepped forward and shouted, "Suitor 499 has fallen. Prepare the next challenger." The crowd roared. Alien merchants threw flags in the air. Old warriors raised their fists. Children watched with wide eyes. Learning from her brutal example, only one more suitor remained. Only one more life to be taken before the cycle ended. But Kayla stood in the center of the arena like she was bored. Her blade rested on her shoulder. Dripping glowing blue blood from her last kill, she whispered. "Why do they still try?" The final suitor entered. A giant reptilian warrior with heavy armor and sharp teeth. He looked like a monster. But the moment he stepped inside, he looked like prey. Because Kayla stared at him with cold, calm eyes, eyes that showed no mercy. Eyes that had seen 499 bodies fall. The reptilian warrior charged forward. Roaring like a beast, Kayla did not move. Not even a step. And then, within 1 second, she stepped to the side, sliced across his armor, and dropped him to the ground. Silence filled the arena for a moment, then his blood stained the sand. Another suitor gone. Another meaningless victory. Kayla sighed. Her voice echoed. 500. But something strange happened. The announcer did not end the match. He did not declare her cycle complete. Instead, he looked nervous. His hands shook. His voice cracked when he said, "There is one more challenger." The crowd gasped. Kayla raised an eyebrow. "That is impossible," she said softly. No one else registered, but the announcer was sweating now. He lifted the scroll again, checking the name written at the bottom. And when he spoke the name, the entire stadium fell silent. Human. A shockwave went through the crowd. Some aliens screamed in laughter. Some covered their mouths. Some whispered in fear. Humans were not known for arena combat. They were not known for massive strength. They were not known for surviving Varkalon trials. And yet, one had dared to register. Kayla narrowed her eyes. "Bring him out." The doors opened slowly. A figure stepped out, not tall, not armored, not glowing. A simple human male walked toward the arena. Calm, silent, steady. His name was Jox Rylan. A soldier from a distant human colony, he carried no fear in his steps. No doubt in his eyes, no heavy armor, no legendary weapon. Just a simple combat blade at his side. The crowd laughed louder. "Is this a joke?" one alien shouted. "He will die in seconds," another yelled. But Kayla did not laugh. She watched him carefully. There was something different about this human. Something serious, something sharp, something dangerous in a quiet way. Jox stepped onto the blood-stained sand, looked around once, and then met Kayla's eyes. There was no hatred in his gaze, no fear, only respect. And something else she could not understand. For the first time in many cycles, Kayla felt something she had forgotten. Curiosity. She lifted her blade. "Human," she said in a deep voice. "You understand the rules. If you lose, you die." Jox nodded slowly. "And if I win?" he said. His voice was calm, steady, almost soft. Kayla felt her heart twitch. "You gain my respect," she answered. "And marriage, The crowd exploded in noise. Jock simply said, "Then let's begin." The air grew heavy. The arena lights dimmed, the ancient drums echoed. For the first time in her life, Kayla felt unsure. This human was not like the others. He did not tremble. He did not shout bravely. He did not show fear. He simply stood, ready. Like he had already faced death before, Kayla tightened her grip on her blade. For the first time in 500 fights, the princess felt something she had never felt: pressure. Because the human warrior was not stepping into the arena to die. He was stepping into the arena to change everything. The arena drum shook the air like thunder. Kayla had fought monsters, champions, assassins, generals, and warlords. But she had never fought someone who walked in with calm eyes and a steady breath. The human stood in front of her like this place meant nothing to him. Like the blood on the sand did not disturb him. Like death itself was something he had already accepted long ago. The crowd continued to laugh. They pointed at Jocks and shouted insults. "Tiny human, he will break in one hit. He does not even carry armor." But Jocks never reacted. He never looked away from Kayla. He studied her like he was reading a battle map. Every move she made, every breath she took, every twitch of her hand, he observed it all. Kayla felt irritation rising inside her. This human was not afraid. That was normal for fools. But this human was not foolish. Something in his eyes told her he had seen war that even Varkalan warriors had never imagined. She lowered her blade. "Human," she said, "you are allowed to surrender before the first strike." Jocks's lips curved into a small smile. "I didn't come here to surrender." His voice was soft but carried a strange weight. A weight Kayla could not measure. The announcer raised his staff. "The final match of the ritual combat begins." The drums stopped. The arena fell silent. Even the wind seemed to freeze. Kayla moved first, her body blurred. Almost disappearing from view, she charged with inhuman speed. Faster than any human I should follow. She expected him to panic. She expected him to stumble. She expected him to freeze, but Jocks did none of that. At the last second, he stepped sideways. Exactly 1 inch out of her strike path, her blade cut through the air. Missing him by the width of a fingernail, gasps echoed from the stands. No one had dodged Kayla's opening strike before. Kayla stopped and turned her head slowly. Her eyes narrowed. "How did you see that?" she asked. Her voice was no longer bored. It carried tension, uncertainty. Jock shrugged slightly. "Your right foot shifts before you strike," he said calmly. "You lean forward by 2 degrees, your shoulder dips. Your wrist tightens." He pointed toward her blade. "You are fast, princess. But you repeat patterns." Kayla felt her heartbeat rise. This human was reading her movements like a book. Like he had studied her for years, and yet she had never seen him before today. The crowd began to whisper. Was the human cheating? Was he using tech? Was he using implants? But Kayla knew he had no armor, no implants, no shield. He only had a blade and eyes that saw too much. She rushed again. Faster this time. She spun, jumped, slashed low and high. Her strikes were deadly and unpredictable. But Jocks dodged again, and again, and again. Every movement was small, precise, efficient. He moved like water flowing around rocks, like he had been trained to survive in impossible fights. Kayla growled, "You mock me." Jocks shook his head. "I respect you," he answered. "That is why I won't allow you to hit me icily for some reason." Those words made her chest tighten. No alien suitor had ever said something like that. They had always screamed, begged, or boasted, but this human. He looked at her like she was not a monster. Not a killer, not a threat. He looked at her like she was a warrior. An equal Kayla struck again, and this time she pushed all her power into the blow. The ground cracked under her feet. Shock waves spread through the sand. Even the barrier shook, but Jocks blocked it. His simple human blade met her royal Varkalan steel with a loud echo, and he held it. His muscles trembled. But he did not break. Kayla's eyes widened slightly. Humans were not supposed to be this strong. Not without armor, not without modifications, but Jocks was standing, holding her strike like a warrior standing against a storm. Kayla leaned closer and whispered, "What are you, human?" Jox whispered back. "A survivor," before she could react. He pushed her back with one forceful move. The crowd screamed in disbelief. No one had ever pushed Princess Kayla backward during ritual combat, ever. The whispers changed now. This human is dangerous. Is he enhanced? Is he from a war world? But the more they talked, the more Kayla stared at him with interest. Real interest. Not anger, not rage, but something new. Something she did not know how to name. She finally spoke. "You intrigue me." Human Jox lifted his blade slightly, ready for another round. "You intrigue me too," he said quietly. The arena shook with tension. Two warriors stood facing each other. One who had killed 500 suitors without mercy, and one human who refused to bow. The crowd leaned forward, unable to look away. Kayla felt something she had not felt in years. Excitement. Jox felt something too. A fire in his chest that he thought he had left behind on the battlefields of Earth's forgotten wars. For the first time in her life, Kayla realized this fight might not be easy. And Jox realized his life might depend on more than skill. The next strike would change everything. For both of them, for the arena, for the galaxy, asterisk, asterisk. Because this was no longer a fight for marriage or tradition, this had become a fight of destiny. Asterisk, the arena lights dimmed until only two figures stood in the center. Princess Kayla, with her glowing blade and deadly grace. And Jox Rylan, the first human ever to enter Varkalon ritual combat. Every spectator leaned forward, their breath held, their bodies tense. The air itself felt sharp, like something powerful was about to happen. Kayla tightened her stance, her tail flicked behind her. A silent sign of rising excitement. She was no longer bored, no longer irritated. She was alive in a way she had not felt in years. Jox rolled his shoulders slightly, his expression calm, his eyes focused. His breath steady, he showed no fear, but he also did not show arrogance. He moved like someone who understood danger deeply. Someone who had learned respect for every fight he survived. Kayla began the next exchange without warning. Her body shot forward like a burst of lightning. Her blade cut through the air with enough force to slice a pillar in half. Jox barely stepped aside. Her strike sliced the edge of his shirt. A single thread floated away. That was how close it was. Kayla smirked closer, she said, her voice low. Good Jox steadied his grip and replied softly, "I didn't come here to play." The crowd gasped because something changed in Jox's posture. Something subtle but powerful. He leaned forward just slightly. His shoulders relaxed, his eyes sharpened, and his blade lowered into a stance that no Varkalon warrior recognized. But Kayla recognized it, not the stance, but the feeling behind it. This was the moment a real fighter decided to stop holding back, she whispered. "Show me." Jox moved. The human who had been so calm, so quiet, now exploded into motion. Not as fast as Kayla, not as strong, but frighteningly precise. Every step placed with purpose. Every swing controlled and focused. Every motion meant to survive, not just win. Kayla blocked the first strike, then the second, then the third. Her eyes widened with each clash. This human's blade work was unlike anything she had ever seen. He did not waste energy. He did not overextend. He fought like a man who had lived through battlefields where hesitation meant death. Kayla whispered mid-battle. "You are trained," Jox answered between movements. No, his blade cut the air. "I am shaped." That sentence hit Kayla harder than the blade ever could. Shaped, not trained, meaning life had forced him into skill, into survival, into strength he never asked for. She spun, attempting a low strike. Jox jumped back, landing with perfect balance. Her tail swung toward him as a distraction. He ducked under it, rolling forward. His blade cut across her leg armor, leaving a glowing scratch. The arena froze. Kayla looked down. Jox had touched her armor. No one had ever marked her armor before. For a moment, Kayla did not speak. Then she laughed, a real laugh. Deep and sharp like thunder, the crowd stared in shock. Kayla never laughed inside the arena. "You are far more interesting than any alien suitor I have killed," she said, her eyes burning with fire. Her blood racing, Jox stood tall, breathing hard but steady. "I'm not here to impress you," he said, "but I won't let you kill me." Kayla felt a spark inside her chest. Respect. Pure, genuine respect. The kind she had been waiting for her entire life. She stepped forward slowly, not attacking. Not challenging, studying him. Trying to understand the strange calm in his eyes. "Human," she asked softly, "what have you survived?" Jox did not flinch at the question. His voice remained steady. "Wars, loss, things I can't describe." His eyes darkened. "Things that made me learn how to move, how to fight, how to live." The arena felt silent again. Kayla understood perfectly. She knew the look of someone who had seen too much. Someone who had carried pain for too long. She lifted her blade. "Then do not hold back anymore," she said. "Fight me with everything." Jox nodded. "For survival," he said. Kayla replied. "For destiny." They rushed at each other with full force. The clash created a shockwave that shook the entire arena. Sand burst into the air. Stone cracked beneath their feet. Two warriors, completely different species, now moved with the same hunger, the same fire, the same determination. This was no longer a ritual fight. No longer a tradition. No longer a trial for marriage. This had become something else, a meeting of souls forged in battle. And for the first time in her life, Kayla felt uncertainty, real uncertainty, because she did not know how this fight would end. But she knew one thing, with absolute clarity: this human was not going to die easily and deep inside. A small part of her hoped he wouldn't die at all. The arena floor trembled as Kayla and Jox locked blades again. This time their strikes were faster, heavier, and far more dangerous. It felt like the entire world narrowed to just the two of them. Every heartbeat echoed through the sand. Every breath sounded like a drum. Kayla pushed forward with speed that broke the sound around her. Jox leaned back, the blade passing just inches from his throat. The watching crowd gasped. Some covered their faces. Some leaned even closer, unable to look away. The Princess of Death had finally found someone capable of matching her rhythm. Kayla's eyes glowed brighter. Her blood felt like fire. For years she had stood alone. She had fought suitor after suitor, champion after champion. She had crushed armies. She had held power like no other, but she had never fought someone who made her heart beat like this. She whispered mid-strike, "Human, you fight like you carry ghosts." Jox blocked another blow. His breath slow and heavy. "I do," he answered calmly. "And every ghost taught me something." Kayla's blade clashed against his with a thunderous spark. She twisted her body, spinning midair and slamming downwards. The impact cracked the ground. A cloud of dirt burst up around them. But through the dust, Jox stepped out. His face smeared with sand, his eyes still steady, still calm. Kayla felt something inside her chest that she almost did not recognize. Admiration and a strange warmth she had not felt in many cycles. "You should have died by now," she said, her tone low, almost respectful. Any other species would be in pieces. Jox wiped sweat from his brow. "You're strong," he admitted. "Stronger than anything I've faced." She blinked, taken off guard by the honesty in his voice. Most suitors bragged. Most suitors screamed. Most suitors tried to prove their worth, but Jox, he simply stated truth, simple, quiet truth. Kayla lifted her blade and took a slow breath. "This is the first time I want to fight to last," she said. Her voice almost soft, almost human. Jox raised his blade too. "Then let's give them something to remember." The next clash was unlike anything before. Kayla's speed met Jox's precision. Her fury met his resolve. Her power met his experience. The shockwaves rattled the arena walls. Guards fell to one knee as the energy ripped through the air. Spectators grabbed each other. Some screamed, some cheered. Asterisk, asterisk. Kayla swung high. Jox ducked. Kayla thrust low. Jox blocked with a sharp angle. Their movements were perfect mirrors. Opposites that matched. Fire and steel. Fury and calm. Kayla jumped back, panting lightly. Her chest rose and fell. Sweat ran down her temples. Her tail flicked nervously for the first time. She felt her own limits. she whispered. "I did not think you could push me this far." Jox didn't answer immediately. He was breathing hard too. His arms trembled from the force of her strikes. Pain pulsed through his muscles like fire. But he refused to step back. Finally he said, "You are not fighting me. You are fighting someone who refuses to die." Kayla stared at him. For a moment, the arena's noise faded. The crowd disappeared. The world shrank to just the two of them standing in the red dust. Then something unusual happened. Kayla lowered her blade. Not in surrender, not in defeat, but in understanding human, she said quietly. "You are not like the others." Jox took a step closer. His eyes locked onto hers. "No," he said softly. "And neither are you," Kayla felt a strange pull inside her chest. A bond, a thread she could not break, something ancient and powerful and dangerous. Something that made her heart pound against her ribs. She whispered, "Why are you really here? Why risk your life?" Jox hesitated for the first time. His eyes softened, his voice dropped. "Because I wanted to live for something, not just survive." The words hit Kayla harder than any blade. A sharp sting of truth, a truth she knew too well. The truth of someone tired of being alone, tired of killing, tired of pretending strength meant heartlessness. Before she could speak, the crowd suddenly roared. The announcer shouted, "Princess Kayla is lowering her weapon." "Does this mean?" Kayla snapped her head toward him, her voice sharp. "It means nothing." Then she looked back at Jox, her voice softer again. "This fight is not over." Jox nodded. "I know." Kayla lifted her blade once more, but her heart felt different. Her breath felt different. Her thoughts felt different. For the first time in her life, she did not want to kill her opponent. She wanted to understand him. She wanted to test him. She wanted to see how far he could go. The next round would not be about tradition, not about ritual, not about marriage. It would be about connection, about truth, about destiny pulling two warriors together. Kayla stepped forward. Jox did too. And the arena watched as something far bigger than combat began to form between them. Something the galaxy had never seen before. The arena had never been this silent, not after 500 deaths. Not after centuries of ritual combat, not after countless champions had bled on the sand. But now, with Princess Kayla and Jox standing face to face, the silence felt alive, heavy, powerful, waiting. Kayla lifted her blade slowly, her hands firm, but her heart unsteady. She had entered the arena 1,000 times. But this was the first time she did not know what her next strike would mean. Victory, defeat, or something far greater. Jox took a step forward. He was tired, hurting, bleeding, but his eyes held the same calm strength he had carried from the start. A strength Kayla had never seen in any alien warrior. The announcer's voice trembled. Final round. The crowd inhaled sharply, everyone leaning forward, everyone sensing something extraordinary approaching. Kayla began with a slow circle, her blade tracing a bright arc in the air. She was measuring him, studying him, feeling the rhythm of his breathing, reading his stance. But she was not looking for weakness. She was looking for truth. Jox mirrored her movement, his blade steady, his steps light. He did not want to kill her. That much was clear, but he would fight her with everything he had because she deserved nothing less. Kayla moved first, a sharp, precise strike, fast enough to cut through armor, hard enough to shatter stone, but Jox blocked it. His arm shook from the force, but he held her. Kayla's eyes widened at the resistance, at the courage, at the stubborn fire that refused to break. She pressed harder. "Yield," she said softly. "You have proven enough." Jox pushed back with all his strength. "Not yet," he whispered. "I'm still standing." Something warm bloomed in Kayla's chest. Something she had not expected to feel in this place of death. The blades clashed again and again and again. Each strike louder than the last, each step heavier. Both warriors pushed to their absolute limits. Kayla swung high. Jox dodged and countered. Kayla thrust forward. Jox deflected and stepped in close. For a heartbeat, they stood chest to chest, breathing the same air, seeing themselves in each other's eyes. Kayla whispered, "Why do you not fear me?" Jox whispered back, "Because I see the warrior, not the monster." Her heart faltered at those words. No one had ever said that to her. No one had ever seen past the blood she spilled. No one had ever looked at her without flinching or hiding fear. She stepped back suddenly, her chest rising sharply, her breath trembling. This human, this strange human, was changing her in ways she did not understand. Kayla tightened her grip and charged again. But this strike was different. It had power, speed, emotion. The weight of everything she had held inside for so long. Jock saw it coming. He did not run. He did not hide. He stepped forward into the strike. Their blades collided. Sparks exploded like falling stars. The force shook the arena. The sand lifted in a wave. Spectators shielded their eyes, and then Kella's blade slipped from her hand. It spun in the air and stabbed into the ground behind her. The entire arena froze. The princess had been disarmed. Jock stood there, his blade at her shoulder. But he did not move. He did not strike. He did not harm her. Kayla looked at his blade, then up at his face. There was no triumph in his expression. No pride, no cruelty, only quiet respect, slowly. Kayla placed her hand on his blade, pressed it down gently, lowering it. Then she lowered her head. The announcer gasped. The crowd screamed. The galaxy itself seemed to stop spinning. Princess Kayla, slayer of 500 suitors, unbeaten war champion, had bowed her head to a human. Her voice was soft but clear. "You win." Jock stepped back, shocked. "I didn't mean to." Kayla cut him off. "You chose not to kill me? That is victory for a moment." Jock did not know what to say. He looked around. Thousands of alien faces stared at him in disbelief. The arena felt like it might explode from the shock. Kayla took one slow step toward him, her eyes no longer cold, no longer distant, no longer alone. She placed her hand gently on his chest and whispered, "You were the first warrior to fight me without fear. You were the first to see me." Jock swallowed, his heart pounding in his ears. "And you are the first person to challenge me to live again." Their eyes locked. Two warriors from two worlds, bound by battle, bound by respect, bound by something deeper, something stronger. Kayla lifted her head toward the announcer. "Record it," she said. "The human Jox Rylan has won the ritual combat, and by ancient law, he earns my hand." The arena exploded in cries of disbelief. Shock, rage, awe. But Kayla did not look at the crowd. She looked only at him, at the human who had stepped into the arena to die and walked out having changed destiny. Jox finally spoke, his voice soft. "Kayla, are you sure?" She nodded slowly. "For the first time in my life," she whispered. "I am." Then she took his hand, the hand of a human, a survivor, a warrior who fought without hate, and together they stepped forward as the arena roared with thunderous sound. The galaxy would never be the same again. Asterisk, asterisk.